Dirkens here. Thank you so much for joining me for my preview of the 2019 Florida Gators. Now, before I go any farther, if you don't know me, you do now. Hit the subscribe button and turn on the notifications because it notifies you when I put up my good stuff. You can also find me on Twitter, tweeting around at B Dirkens. Also on Instagram at the Bobby Dirkens. When I think about the Florida Gators, I think about a younger, cocky Steve Spurrier running up more points than a scoreboard should ever be able to hold. I think about Danny Werfel, Fred Taylor, Ike Hilliard, Riddell Anthony, Jaquez Green. Then we push on to a few more years later to a young coach who had made his way up through the ranks, and no matter where he was at, even if it was coaching the Mississippi School of the Deaf and Blind, he won and dominated within the conference. Urban Meyer. Now, love him or hate him, the man can absolutely coach football. Also, a young man that a lot of people would make fun of because he was just too clean. He's just too well-spoken. He seems just like the preppy boy from next door. Until you had to play him and he made you pay like you never paid before. Tim Tebow. That's what I think about when I think about Florida. Not the Florida team that we've actually become associated with over the past few years. Now, last year you brought one of your old brethren back when you got Dan Mullen out of Mississippi State. Let's stop right here. The success that he had at Mississippi State was so great that they should erect one of those giant statues, kind of like Kim Jong-un has over there in North Korea, for him. I mean, I'm telling you, nobody wants to go to Starkville, Mississippi. I mean, right now, the only way I'd go there would be if my other choice was eternal damnation in hell. Yeah, I'd be sitting there going, burn forever or Starkville? Whew. I guess I'll go to Starkville. And that man could have probably left there a long time ago, but he made sure he was ready to move on to bigger, better things. And he did. He went to Florida. Last year he went 10-3, finished off the year with a big win over Michigan. And though I'm not going to say that you're just back, like everybody throws that term around, because it's fun to talk about and get fans clapping and laughing like somebody who's probably huffed too many fumes out of a paint sock. Truth is, you definitely improved, and the sky looks like it could be the limit. Let's look into who you return. First of all, you return only 5 on the offensive side of the ball. The majority of what you're missing, offensive line. That's not good news. Let me go ahead and tell you right now. I ain't gonna sit here and just talk a bunch of crap to you, just for crap's sake. And at the end of the day, while other people care about being popular, the only crap I give a care about is being right. Any team, I don't care if it's those guys, they're missing the majority of their offensive line unless the guys behind them is juniors, you got a problem. And even then, you have to ask yourself, well, why wasn't they on the field if they were so good? Unless the guys in front of them was just world class. So you have a worry on the offensive line. You do return your starting quarterback, Felipe Franks. He's been on the bench, off the bench, on the bench, back off the bench. He looks like he's going to be the go-to guy. Now, I think the guy, as they've hung a block around his neck, thrown him off into the water so many times for the failures of Florida. I'm sorry, the failures of Florida came when right after Urban Meyer was gone, they started making questionable hires. Don't throw it around some 20-year-old's neck and blame what's going on in Gainesville on him. I'm sorry. That's the truth. I mean, I always play like you like it, but at the end of the day, explain some of the coaching decisions that your administration's hired. Sorry. It just is what it is. Felipe Franks is the best man for the job right now, in my opinion. Also, you're going to get that, I believe it's Malik Davis. He'll be a running back for you. He's coming in, had some health problems. Even though Piron's coming back, those two should do pretty solid as long as your line can help you. You return all your leading receivers. Whew, got those swimmy head. Makes all those boiled peanuts made eating. On the defense, you return 8 starters. 8 of them. Now, big news is your leading tackler and leading interceptioner, they're gone. But if there's any side of the ball that's a good news to have a ton of starters coming back, it's the defensive side of the ball. Now look, I'm not being a douche here. Okay, maybe I am, but it's still the truth. When you look at the SEC, and you look at each division, SEC East, SEC West. Well, let's break this down for a second. Who's in the West? I don't know. Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M. Week in, week out, they could be a piss bucket. They could be Golden, Auburn. Let's look. Who's in the East? Georgia. Y'all. South Carolina. Although they did good last year, but they lost a bunch of those players. Kentucky. Missouri. The nerds from Vanderbilt. You should win your division except for Georgia. It's up to you two not to mess this up. Oh, I forgot Tennessee. No offense, Volunteer Roadshow. There's no excuse in the world why you should not finish at least second in the East. If you finish any lower than second in the East, y'all should shut down the football program and start focusing on lacrosse. Period. That's it. It's true. Well, let's go ahead and jump to your season. If some of you, this first time you watching me, I'm not going to break everything down about every player in their hometown and their favorite food and all the troubles and horrible trials that they came through to get here. Because we're just talking about football. A lot of that stuff is just, fill time on big TV shows. Very first game is against a team who I like to call a shell of history. In fact, much like yourself. We see the Florida Gator. We see the swamp. We see the symbol. But you're not winning like you used to. It's called a shell of history. You look a lot. You talk a lot. But you're not winning like you was. No offense. University of Miami in Florida. I mean, what happened to them? Last year this time, on paper, they had some incredible talent. We thought they were actually going to be, back. And then they laid a golden turd. No, it wasn't even golden. It was just a turd. They're jumping around with that dumb chain. We're back season before. Look at them. They're a mess. Coach retired. The guy who replaced him, he's been there. He's a child of Miami. But at the end of the day, the truth is, he was a coach of a different team for only like 3 or 4 days, and then he took over at this job. I can't say that Miami, and I know they're in our conference. I don't care about conference. I only care about my team. I believe you beat Miami because I don't buy Miami. I don't believe in Miami. Miami should be one of the easiest places to coach in the world because they're down there in South Florida where all the great talent's at. You're going to win that game. UT Martin. It's the cousin of Tennessee. You beat them. At Kentucky. I know what happened last year. I know. That was last year, and that was last year's players. You're going to win this game. Tennessee. This is a game that in the mid to late 90s, even early 2000s, there was huge implications, really, for the national championship. And then that faded away. And it was just a rivalry. Now, though I have no ought against Tennessee, the truth is, Tennessee is not bad. Are they getting better? Yeah. Y'all are ahead of them. And I believe that unless all of you are incarcerated for improperly touching a goat, you will win this game. You got too much work ahead of them up there. Next week, you play Towson. That sounds like one of the original colonies that settled. Okay? You shouldn't even field your first team against this one. You'll win that game. Next week, Auburn. It's homecoming. Okay? I know how Auburn is. Auburn teams, it's very, very difficult to call what they're going to do because they're inconsistent. They're inconsistent. I don't care who they recruit. I mean, you got to even think when they won the national championship with Cam Newton, Clemson went to Auburn and only lost by a touchdown. And that's before Sweeney got there. Or, I mean, running things. He was already just a wide receivers coach. Auburn doesn't make sense. This is a toss-up game. If you're serious about being back, you got to win this one. If you're just going to piss around, waste another year, this is a great one to lose. This is SEC, man. Get off that bucket. I get what you're saying. I get you're saying that you're playing a tough league. I agree. I'm not going to take that away from you, but I'm going to tell you, you got to get off of that and look and go, those guys are inconsistent. Let's go beat their brains in the ground. Just follow me there. I believe you do. I believe you beat them. At LSU. LSU would probably have 4 or 5 national championships under their belt. They could easily be the Alabama is, if they just had a flipping offense. We know. You go around there, it's a crazy house. They recruit amazing players. They've been doing that for years. Years. That's like saying Garth Brooks sings country music. Yes, he does. And LSU has been recruiting great for years. I just can't get the offense going. But I do believe that they're enough ahead of you right now. And they have an experienced quarterback. They're going to beat you. Almost a toss-up, but I believe they beat you. At South Carolina. I'm going to stop here right now and tell you that if you blow this game, right, that game, not because they're rivals of us, it's because they suck. They suck. They got a few good players here and there. They're going to go do their thing. They played Virginia in the Belk Bowl. Virginia is nothing to write home about, and you saw what they did to them. And it's not because Deebo Samuel sat out. One guy is not that powerful to make up 28 points. I'm sorry. You can spin that any way you want to. I believe you're going to win this game. Then you're off. You look over the season, at this point, I only have you losing 1 ball game. It's kind of a toss-up, but I only have you losing 1 ball game. Then you play Georgia. We know Jacksonville. We know the whole thing. We know how it goes. We know it's rivalry. We know the history. Your team from right now, not all the past players will walk in and play them. Unfortunately, even with their inconsistencies, I believe that it will be a closer game than usual, but I believe they will beat you. Next week, you play Vanderbilt. I'm going to stop you right here and tell you. I believe that you could get caught looking back, but Vanderbilt still sucks, and you will beat them. But you can make it look, they can make it look close if you're sulking. You only have 2 losses at this point, okay? Then you're at Missouri. You play Kelly Bryant and Missouri. He is a really good athlete. I don't see him as a quarterback. He could go to the NFL and make more money than all of us put together times 10. That's not a slap at him. I like Kelly. I believe you win this ball game. You're off, then you play Florida State. Start off with an ACC team, you end with an ACC team. I'm going to say this one more time. For all of those people, especially in the SEC, who doesn't get it. I don't care about my conference. I care about my team. Florida State is once again a shell of history. You see them walk in, they're playing that boo, doo, 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 doo. Y'all are going to beat them. You're going to beat them. I just don't buy Florida State right now. I don't buy their current coaching staff. I don't buy any of it. For you to lose some games like the Clemson, I get it. But the other games they were losing and how bad they looked, no. Mm-mm. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. So, I have you losing 2 ball games. That's it. One of them is a toss-up. In fact, both of them is kind of a toss-up. So what do I think you need to do this season? You have to win the games you're supposed to win. And Auburn is one of those games. I don't buy Auburn. Don't buy them. You can't come in and start playing this whole emotional thing of, we're playing Tennessee. Big deal! Go beat them. Go beat them. That's the true way teams end up coming back and they actually be relevant for not one season, but for years to come. I'm Bobby Dirkens. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications. Find me on Twitter at @BDirkens. Oh, Lord, that's a thundercloud outside. Whew. Sorry about pissing myself. Find me on Twitter at @BDirkens and on Instagram at @TheBobbyDirkens. Remember, you keep showing up. Lord knows, I'll keep showing out. Bobby Dirkens.